Welcome to the Dr. Dobbs audio interview. I'm your host, Mike Riley, and I have the pleasure of speaking with Brandon Kessler, the founder of ChallengePost, about hackathons and online software competitions. Welcome, Brandon.
Hi, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
For those who aren't familiar with the term, what are hackathons and why are hackathons and online software development competitions becoming so popular?
Hackathons are generally events that take place in person in a physical location where we call them software makers, which is software developers, could be product managers, could be designers, but people that make software get together, and they often join up with others who might have ideas or who have expertise in a specific problem area. And they get together and they code. They make software, and at the end of the weekend, they get to show off their software. Frequently there are prizes, but hackathons in general are not really about winning so much as they are coming together to work on interesting problems and to meet people and to create cool stuff. We power those on our web platform at ChallengePost, meaning that on ChallengePost you can discover what hackathons are upcoming, and you can also then, once you're there, submit your software to our platform because we showcase software on ChallengePost, and then all of the back end of the hackathons can be managed as well, like judging and voting and announcing the winners, and we also promote those hackathons to our global community. And the online software competitions are similar to that, except they don't happen in person. They happen only online. They're generally global, and instead of happening for one weekend or 48 or 72 hours like a typical hackathon, they'll last 3, 4, 5 months. And the difference with that is it's less about in-person interaction and meeting people and more about creating polished applications or showing off software that's already been created to get exposure for that. And both of those happen on ChallengePost. To your question of why they're exploding in nature, why they're so popular, well, I think it's just a symptom of software transforming everything in our world. So the power of software is now widely evident and growing exponentially, and people making software and solving problems with software is a byproduct of that, as are these challenges and competitions, which are really calls to action to make software.
So is the primary purpose of ChallengePost to really get these community of developers together to work on this common hackathon, if you will, more like a sort of the days of old where it was user groups and people would aggregate and participate? Or is it more about just coordinating these events, almost like a meetup and a scheduler?
Our primary, we're a two-sided marketplace where software makers are on one side, and then organizations or people with problems they want solved are on the other. And so we're solving problems for both sides of this marketplace. But ultimately what we are about is showcasing your software. Ultimately, people go to hackathons or they participate in these challenges because they want to make and then show off that software to get exposure. And in a world where everything is being transformed by software, most people understand that discovery is a real problem. App stores are broken in many ways, and there's just a tremendous amount of competition. So finding a place where you can build software or submit already created software to showcase it is an important need that we solve for the software makers. As for the organizations, yes, we provide them a platform that makes the hackathon or competition management a cinch. But the problem we're solving for them is not just that. The main problem we're solving for organizations is they want to grow their developer communities. So Apple doesn't want to own your app. They just want you to build on iOS. Ford, a customer of ours, they don't want to own your app, but they have an open platform for the brains of the car called OpenXC, where you can build fuel efficiency apps and other apps like that on top of the brains of the car. They want to grow that community. Eli Lilly, they don't want to own your app, but they have tons of data, health data, that they're now starting to release, and they want you to use that data to make that useful to improve clinical trials. And it goes on from industry to industry. And so the problems we're solving for organization, yes, it's about managing your hackathon or your challenge to some degree, but it's really about growing that community.
How do you see the site evolving over the next year?
Well, it's funny. We've evolved a lot. I started the company because I was inspired by a grassroots challenge I saw on a blog where a young guy in Texas said if anybody could create a software program that allows Windows to run on the Mac, it's before Apple let you do that, he'd give them $100 This is in 2006. And he said anyone could PayPal him money to add to the collective prize. It was like crowdfunding for this prize. And in 3 weeks, there was $14,000 collectively contributed by hundreds of individuals and corporations, and there were teams working throughout the night, and it was all over the media and the press and the blogosphere, and it was solved. And as someone who loves technology, I was just blown away by the power of this grassroots challenge to identify a problem and get it solved efficiently. So we started out allowing anyone to post a competition, and that could be you, me, my mom, anyone. But then every year we have focused more and more and basically said no to more and more things. At the beginning, anything went. Then after that, it was just organizations could post challenges because they got the best response and they could stand behind them and they were more interesting, surprisingly, actually. And then after that, we said, well, you could be an organization, but it has to be software-focused or it has to be government-focused, because those were the two areas where we were seeing the biggest growth. We power all the government competitions, federal government competitions, and a lot of local competitions as well. And then last year we decided we are only going to be powering software competitions, and that could be hardware with a software component. We have a challenge with Pebble that just finished. We've done many sort of hardware challenges that have a software component. But in general, that is our focus only, which is to power software competitions and to grow developer ecosystems. So you ask what we want to do in the future. What does the future look like for us? Well, we now allow you to showcase your software anytime, regardless of whether there's a challenge. So if you work at a company, an enterprise, and you have software and you want to get it out there, you can just go to ChallengePost, create an account, and show it off. And you can tag what technologies it uses. So does it use the Salesforce API, or does it use the Foursquare or Twilio APIs, or which SDKs does it use? And you can tell people how you made it and what's interesting about your software from the maker side of things. Not the code, it's not GitHub, but it's name, description, images, what technologies it uses, who worked on it. And then you can learn about challenges that are coming up if you want to enter into them. So our future is not just about challenges. That's the sort of primary call that we have for organizations. But we now let organizations and individuals show off their software any day, no matter what time it is. And on the flip side, you can then have a gallery of all the software that uses your technology. So let's say that you work at a company like Twilio or Foursquare or Salesforce where you have an API. You can say, here's a gallery of all the software out there that uses us inside their software. So that's our future. Our future is allowing people to showcase their software anytime and allowing organizations to have collections of software that use their tools inside of them.
You have some pretty big names listed as participants on the ChallengePost.com homepage. It looks like you've even helped out the White House. How did you get such a diverse number of organizations to participate?
You know, I wish I could say it's all due to us or me, but it's not. It's really due to the fact that, as I've said, software is changing everything, and as Mark Andreessen has famously said, it's eating the world. Our customer, Samsung, so they come to us to grow their developer community. They want to build apps on their televisions, build apps on their phones. Qualcomm, Appcelerator, Atlassian, Ford, the World Bank, the White House, the New York City Department of Ed, every U.S. federal agency, they all want to engage software developers in some way to either build on top of their tools that they have for developers or to use data, open data that they have that they want to get into the hands of as many developers as possible. And that's just happening because of the time we're living in. And so we're fortunate that we're the primary place to inspire a developer community and grow a developer community. And so how have we capitalized off that in terms of what we've done? Well, we have great employees, great team, great marketing departments, great product, great salespeople. But we still have a tremendous amount to grow and to go. To be a little bit more specific about what we've done, how do people hear about us? Well, our challenges get out there. They get in the press. They get at the top of Hacker News. They're in the media. People hear about these challenges, and then they come and they learn about them. They sign up for challenges. So the great thing about competitions is the word of mouth. And then, when developers submit their app, they add their teammates, and they tell other people about them too. So there's, a decent amount of marketing built into our product in addition to our marketing team and sales team.
What are some of the more exciting challenges you've participated in?
I'll mention some that are online, long-lasting, 3, 4, 5-month competitions, and maybe 1 or 2 that are hackathons. Well, we're powering TechCrunch Disrupt, which is one of the biggest hackathons, if not the biggest out there. and that's coming up in May, the New York one, but we power all of those. We had one recently in Pakistan, which was really exciting because this is global, and there were a lot of really great civic apps that came out of that hackathon, including one that's an open blood donor directory.
Ah.
That was a really interesting app. And then in New York City, where we are, we've powered several competitions for the City of New York and also for the MTA. They do all the buses and subways and Long Island railroads here, and the last MTA challenge we did, there was an incredible app called City Mapper, where it's really the best transportation app I've ever seen. So instead of just getting you from here to there, wayfinding like a typical app or maybe Google Maps or some of the others, it kind of knows who you are, knows what you do. You tell it where home is, you tell it where work is, and it just makes things really easy for you. It's a great app that's come out of that. So I really like the transportation app because it saves people tons of time on their commute, on that challenge.
So where can listeners who are interested to learn more about what ChallengePost has to offer, where can they go on the web to learn more?
ChallengePost.com is our web platform, and you go there and you can just sign up and hopefully immediately start submitting software that you've made. It only takes a couple of minutes to submit software that you've made, and you can tag the technologies that it uses, the APIs that it uses, and then we let those organizations know, and then they can point to it and give you additional exposure on their galleries. And then you can also learn about challenges at ChallengePost.com, so challenges and hackathons, which could be great places for you to get recognition and make an impact as well.
That's terrific. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today, Brandon.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
For Dr. Dobbs, I'm Mike Riley.